contextual targeting has had, sort of that sort of the big buzzword these days, because the idea is that it solves a whole world of hurt, everything from from privacy issues to transparency and stuff. Like, how is that pro or con, affecting programmatic and indirect sales? Like, if you guys want to talk to it, and are you actually seeing it, or is it just sort of a thing that people are talking about a lot and it hasn't really made its way down into the trenches yet?
I would say that,
On our,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I would
No,
say,
you go.
I think on our side, what's been interesting is there are some platforms, because we're so widely distributed, right? Some platforms have really good contextual advertising, and their CPMs and their fill rates reflect that, whereas others don't necessarily have that same capability. For us, we're finding a really good balance of where we can authenticate our audience and then do audience mapping off of that with contextual. Like, we can provide that whole end-to-end journey, right? So it's important. It's just not every platform has contextual like mechanics that also scale and are the same. And listen, it makes sense, right? Some of these platforms are much older. Some of them are legacy broadcasters that are coming into this and trying to adapt all their systems, right? Versus like Roku or others that are newer, that are much more like apt and ready for this. Plus, they have really good closed environments. So that's just our perspective. Sorry, Alden, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, not at all. Um, I think so sort of similarly, like one of the big issues I think in contextual right now is standardization.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone has the same concept of what, we're passing genres, and someone else has a different taxonomy that they're passing, and then what does that mean to the buy side and what are they looking for? So I think a lot of the work now is sort of, getting past, like the IAB genre is pharma, or, and moving into a thing that is like more standard and better describes, TV content, to make that, more usable. Right now, a lot of the targeting is happening on the pub side, right? So we'll curate specific deals with genres, and less of that targeting, I would say, is happening on the demand side for that reason.
I totally agree. Like, one, I should admit, we do have context and stuff, but most people are investing in Roku because of our logged in identity. So like, if somebody was like, we just want a contextual buy, I'd be like, okay, but great. But for the most part, what I'm seeing in context, and I love that idea. I just want to pick on like women's sports for a second. Genre, to Alden's point, is like choose your own adventure. I think like women's sports is a really great audience, highly engaged. I think just based on socioeconomics, really great. But like, I weirdly have the genre of just sports, or I have it as basketball, but there's not really a way to message out that it's as valuable because it's like Caitlin Clark. And so I think that we have to figure out as an industry, like how to surface that stuff so it actually like makes sense. Because today it's like weirdly either too macro or it's too micro. And I see like requests that come into our platform and there's like 30 genres.
yeah,
And you're like, okay, this is like this is weird. Like, why am I
yeah.
seeing a genre for kayaking? I don't know. And so I think like in between that, like we really, as a duty, if like contextual is going to be a thing, like it definitely needs to be standardized.
I was having this argument, not an argument, a spirited discussion with Andy Beach on Teams, because there is so much opportunity with AI metadata, right? And where it's applied. Because just foundationally for us too, it's like, what are we supposed to be providing? What should be coming through the ad server? What are we trying to connect to? Even for DVD, this was hard back in the day, right? Because it's like Amazon has 1,000 genres and subgenres, and then all of our mapping that has to go to it. And now we have all these new providers showing up all the time. So it's been this really, oh, and then as we're getting requests on the ad side, it's missing a bunch of context for the metadata fields as well. So it's like metadata in general, just to like echo, is the biggest opportunity, but is also the biggest challenge because there is no standardization. But you need those personalization factors, and how do we provide those, right? I do think there's AI tools that will figure some of this out, but it is definitely a huge area for like focus.
Yes. There's a great report on TVREV that we just came out with about all about contextual targeting, which is free. It's a free download if you all are interested. But contextual, which is I'll just jump in. Contextual is more than just genre. That's the thing. It's emotion. You can start targeting on emotion, on your music choices, the actors who are in the scene. If you're Cadillac and Matthew McConaughey is in a show, you can run an ad, with him. So it seems to have a lot of opportunity. But to your point, Laura, is the metadata sucks because when they digitize all the TV shows, they didn't bother to do that. They're just like Seinfeld, comedy, Friends, season 3, episode 2, and that was it. So AI is helping with that. But yeah, I was just curious what you guys were seeing. Melissa, I wanted to.
I was just going to say, I mean, my content set is a little unique in that respect. We have 15 different channels and different genres that span, so it's a little bit more natural for us to be able to catalog our content in that respect. But certainly, we have proprietary data and tools utilizing AI to help do that, and so that we can provide contextual advertising naturally to our clients.
Yeah. And then I think it was somebody was just making it. They might have been you, Charlie. We call it left-handed juggler syndrome, where too often these brands come and like they go to Google on digital. They're like, yeah, we want to reach left-handed jugglers, and Google's like, great, yeah, we've got 200,000 of them. And then they come to Vevo, and Melissa's like, yeah, neither of them are watching this week. Because the audiences are just much smaller. I mean, not that you don't have a big audience, but it's just, compared to Google, it's a much smaller audience. And so it was your point about handing out postcards in the parking lot. They have to sort of figure out what is the audience we want to reach.